This video we will talk about array notation in Java. How to use array in Java, they are very similar to in C++. So we talk about array definition in C++. Remember, what is an array? Array actually is a collection of the same data type value. We group them together. So then array can contain multiple the same data type variable in one notation. So that's the same definition as Java. So that's why here in Java, whenever you want to define or declare, you want to declare an array. So then that's the syntax. You're still using the square bracket for the array notation. So in Java, you want to define an array. You just need to specify your data type, because like earlier we said, any array actually contains only one data type. So for example, I want to have a double array. So I just have the data type and the square bracket. So then in Java, we have the object variable name. So then here in Java, all the objects we are using dynamic memory allocation. So all the objects you create, you have using the new keyword. So when you declare an array, you can just do here, you specify the data type and the array symbol with the object reference variable. Then you're using the new. So then again, you specify how many elements in the array. So here our capacity for our double array is 4. So in Java, after you declare an object, for example, array object, so they have 4 elements. So all the elements, they have the initial value is 0. But of course, you can try to assign these 4 elements with different value. So the same thing. In Java, you're just using the array variable reference name, my list. So then square bracket, start from 0, 1, 2, 3 for size of 4 array. So we can assign value one by one. So that's the traditional way how we will declare an array in Java. In Java, we also have another shorthand notation about array. We call that array initializer. So this array initializer can help us to declare the array size and also assign the value. So the syntax look like here. Okay, so we still have the element type. So that's the data type for the array. Square bracket for the syntax. Square bracket for the array notation. So then you have array reference variable name. So then right away, so here you don't need to use the new keyword. Instead, you're just using the equal, using the braces. So with the braces, you're just using the comma to separate each value. So then you assign value one by one. So that's why here is earlier how we're using the traditional syntax to create array element value, to define the array element value and assign. So then you can also do like this. So this one line can replace this 5 line to initialize the array and assign the default value. So that's array initializer. So after we declare an array object, then we can assign the value one by one. The most important thing why we like array notation and array object is their index start from 0 to the size -1. All the time when we want to do the same process on all the elements in the array, we can always using a for loop to make that happen. So whenever we try to process the array, we want to process the same way on each element on the array. So we can using the for loop. because all the elements in the array are the same type, and they are evenly processed in the same fashion repeatedly by the loop. And also the for loop, we always have the condition is the size we can assign to no. So that's why for loop we use a lot to process the array element. So then we give you some example how to process the array. So this array does make a double array called MyList, and they have 10 elements. So you can see here we have many different examples. The first thing, like we say, you can define, you can assign the value for the array element one by one. But now how about we want to assign for the random value? So we want to initialize the value for the array. Actually, it's not a random number. Random number is the next one. So this one actually is for the user input. So that's why since from the user input, we need to create the scanner object. So then you see we ask the user, please enter how many value. So then since my list is in double, so we assign each one, we're using the next double to get the value. So then you can see one thing is very important is in Java array, we have a data attribute called length. So this length actually is the capacity for the array. So the array name.length returns the size of the array, or we say the capacity of the array. Okay, so earlier we say you can initialize array with the user input. So now if I want to ask you how to update this for loop to initialize the array MyList using with random number. Okay, so if I want you to have the random number between 0 to 100, so how you will make that happen? So that's why you will see actually we don't need a scanner anymore. So then we just need to write the for loop. Or actually we don't need the input anymore as well. So how about now, let me delete this one. I want you to write how you will write a for loop, initialize the array MyList with random double number between 0 to 100. You have that finished, or you can pause the video to finish your for loop. So now let me insert for loop. Similar like earlier, right? But now since we only want the random number, so that's why we don't need to have the user input. So we don't need a scanner object. But then we still need to have for loop to start from I equal to 0, I less than the length. So then for each element, we can just call mass.random. So then since we want to between 0 to 100, so then we can just multiply to enlarge to 100. Because remember, mass.random will generate the double value between 0 to 1. So we multiply by 100, so they will be between 0 to 100, but not including 100. So that's our array initialization and the array syntax. Of course, for the array, you also can, using the for loop, to find the sum of all the array elements, or the average for the all array elements, or you want to process anything for each array element. So we're all using a for loop.